and Babushka. Bill Buckley with you until 6. David Hicks from Maidenhead is a bit of a serial volunteer, really. 4 years ago, he started a charity, Shirley's Way, named after his nan, which helped victims of domestic abuse move to new houses and furnish them. Unfortunately, his van was stolen last year. Since then, he's been volunteering through Food Share in Maidenhead at the town's Methodist Church and the local night shelter for the homeless. So he certainly comes under our those who have made a difference category. We salute him and we welcome him to the show now. Hello, David.
Hello, thanks for having the time for me, Bill.
Oh, not at all. It's our pleasure. Tell us about your nan, first of all. I mean, your relationship with her was even more important than the one most of us, I think, have with our grandparents.
Yeah, she was basically my soulmate. She brought me up. She looked after me, took me under her wing. Unfortunately, with growing up with not a very good childhood, and yes, we lost her to brain cancer 4 years ago. So I decided to open up a company called Shirley's Way, upcycling furniture visits for people in need, and then helping as much as I could for the community of Berkshire and Bucks.
Right. Did you name it after your nan just because she was such a huge figure in your life? Or, you know, if I'm allowed to ask, was there some kind of domestic violence in your past that you were also honouring in that name?
That's right. So we've used her name, but yes, unfortunately, yes, I didn't have a very good childhood.
Right.
But yes, that's right.
And she rescued you from that, basically.
Very much so, yes,
right,
and the community of the church as well, High Street Methodist, Maidenhead.
Yes. So your business, it had to come to an end then when you lost your van. There was no way you could have carried on.
No, unfortunately, I've had some illness myself, right. So I've been having to deal with that through having COPD. But unfortunately, I'm trying to get back on track to help the community to get some funding on GoFundMe for getting a new vehicle and starting again, basically, and helping delightful people in the area of charities like Dash, Food Share. The Methodist Church have got lots of things in the pipeline for helping people. Yeah. You know, it's just being a big community of a help with everyone and starting Shirley's Way again.
Well, I really hope you can, because I mean, the need is not going to have gone away. In fact, there's all kinds of evidence that the need has grown horribly during this time of lockdown.
Very much so. I mean, this is why my passion has got much more bigger now that I've got better through my illness. That now my passion is to get the vehicle again, get some funding that we can afford to basically run and be able to help the community of Berkshire and Bucks.
Just in case anybody can't quite think what it is, COPD is chronic obstructive. Is it pulmonary disease? It's a lung problem.
That's right, it is, right. Yes.
Now, you mentioned your faith there, which also came from your nan, really. This is not in any way meant to be a flippant question. As a man of faith, then, how badly shaken is your faith when God apparently allows something like that to happen? There you are, you're a good guy, you're helping people in desperate need, and then someone comes along and takes your van and you can't carry on. What does that do to your faith?
It just made me stronger. I mean, I did, get depressed on all of this, but all it's done is made me stronger and stronger by helping others, helping out as much as I possibly could through the church, through Food Share, the shelter of John West Centre. We actually looked after John before he passed away, and then they changed the shelter from the Methodist Church to a shelter and named it after John himself. But just giving back, that makes me much, much stronger person.
How many people did you manage to help through Shirley's Way before it came to what we hope is only a temporary close? And talk us through a typical case, what you would do for them and where they'd end up afterwards.
So basically, we would give them a new lease of life of furniture. We were taking donations through tables, chairs, etc., and upcycling those and then giving to people in need. We were moving people in the truck to anywhere, moving their property to a lockup, storing, anything that we could do really. And we linked through the council themselves and housing, as well as Food Share and as well as the Methodist Church. If there's anything we could have done.
Right. And if you hadn't been there, I mean, how little would they have had? Would they have had anything at all?
Um, yeah, I mean the community of Berkshire. That there is, lots of people out there that do willing of help, but it was just made sense because I was part of the Methodist Church that that I could help much more, and we could recognise through coffee meetings, the homeless shelter, etc. Looking after these individual vulnerable people.
Yeah.
I'm recognising it myself. Sorry.
Yeah, no, absolutely, no. And coming on to that other very vulnerable group then, the homeless. In the early days of COVID, a lot of them were put into accommodation, weren't they? And almost it was a blessing in disguise for them. They were off the streets for a while. What is the situation like now compared with what we look back on nostalgically as normal times?
Well, it's getting very strong, and the community's pulling together. So everyone is doing what they can, especially the new shelters that are opening up to food share. It's just getting stronger and stronger. For the community, which is fantastic. There's people like myself that want to give back and give more.
So, do you think that could be a permanent good thing to come out of this terrible, terrible virus? That in the future we will generally treat homeless people a little bit more kindly and more supportively? Is that
very
realistic?
Much so.
Wow.
Yeah, very much so.
Well, that's something, and that's
and
not...
have it. It's about actually having time for them and listening to them. These guys that are homeless, they do suffer with mental health. It's about understanding them, not just putting them somewhere. It's giving them help along the way as well, which is where all these communities come in with these charities.
You see all these frontline workers in the news, absolutely at the end of their tether, and you think, oh my God, I hope you go home to at least somebody who you can pour it all out to and keep you sane and strong. Who's been there for you whilst you've been helping all these people, both Shirley's Way and what you're doing now?
It's been the Methodist Church, High Street, Maidenhead, a lovely the minister, Carmel, and a group of people that have been in the church that supported myself because I'm very much on my own. So it's been fantastic that I've had the support, obviously being able to talk through things and praying and, things that I have done along the way. It's been, a great network of support through the Methodist Church, High Street, Maidenhead.
And finally, are you looking for more people? Are there ways in which we can help you directly?
Very much so. I'm looking for some trustees that can help me with the business because we need to establish again, and then obviously go from there. And then we've got a GoFundMe page. You can also find me on Twitter. My handling page is at Shirley's Way BRK. So it's
okay. At Shirley's Way BRK for Berkshire. Yeah, got it.
That's right.
Thank you for making a difference, David. More power to your elbow. Thank you so much. Good to talk to you. David Hicks, that was from Maidenhead. Right.